M is for Makaha Beach. And me, Marilyn Maya Mendoza. Aloha. I'm Marilyn Maya Mendoza, the baby boomer booktuber. And you can see I'm not in my usual place in my house. I'm at Makaha Beach. I live only a few blocks away, and this is the famous Makaha surfing beach. And Makaha in Hawaii means fierce. And the reason that it was named fierce is because there used to be bandits that would hid in a valley, one of the valleys, Makaha Valley, and they would pickpocket and those who were traveling this way. And this is the furthest you can get on the leeward coast, west. So welcome to my little bit of paradise, Makaha. And today I'm going to do my first ever blog and my first, well, not my first tag, but a tag created by Jim at Books and Reading and Stuff. Hello, Jim. Welcome to Hawaii. Well, let's get at the first question. M is for Manchester and many other cities, which he lists below. What is your favorite book set in a city beginning with M? The first thing I thought of, the city I thought about, I've lived in a lot of cities. Manila comes to mind. I lived there for a while. I'm sure that there's a city in Japan that I lived in with the letter M, but I'm not sure. But I also lived for quite a few years in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And when you think of Minneapolis, St. Paul, you think of Laura Ingalls Wilder's and Little House on the Prairie. And I really enjoyed these books, but not when I was young. My mother actually turned me on to these books. She read them as an older woman. So I think they're due for a reread. Of course, I've seen the program, the TV show, Little House on the Prairie. But the place that it was called Walnut Grove, was the place that the Wilder family first moved to. Plum Creek. I don't know exactly where that is, and I don't know if it's in the Twin Cities, but it's in Minnesota, so pretty close. Okay, 2. M is for murder mystery. Is there a better murder mystery than Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None? I'm a murder mystery buff, and I would say that maybe there's no other original mystery as good as that one. And I did a reread recently on Mystery Madness, March Mystery Madness, and I have to say that I wasn't as thrilled with it the second time around as I was the first. The first scared me really bad. The second time I left feeling, I was surprised. Even though I read it before, I was surprised at who the culprit was, but I had sort of a bad taste in my mouth after reading that. It was sort of bitter. I felt it was a negative kind of book about bad people. But yes, it definitely, there's no other book that comes close, except, yes, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, who, this was not exactly a novel. He wrote the mystery In Cold Blood about a real-life murder that happens, and that he got to know who the two people who were accused of the terrible crime. He got to know them, and that's all I'll say about this, because all my stuff is in my home, so I know kind of about it. I don't know if it's Kansas, but let me know if you know more in the comments below. Okay, number 3, M is for magical realism. What is the first book you read in the genre of magical realism? Even though I used to, sorry, a motorcycle just went past. But I used to read fairy tales that was not really magical realism, but I read my first magical realism book just less than a month ago. And it's The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Cummins. I did not know that it was a magical realism book. And I loved it. And all I'll say about it with the magical realism part is that the magical realism is less of, believe it or not, less of a plot point than the realism is. And I think that's what I liked about it the most. So I didn't mind the magical part because the realism was so real and could have happened in any century. And also this book was written in 1950, where before, you know, the theme of magical realism became such a hot point in books. Okay, so that's my answer to that. And number 4 is maps. What is your favorite map? I really prefer globes to maps, and Jim has a wonderful globe. But a map that comes to mind, I traveled a lot during my life, and but I recently went to Paris, not that recently, but and Paris is, the way it was designed is like a snail going from the inner point where the center of the city is to the outer arrondissements or sections. And I found this very interesting to look at a map of Paris. And when I go home, if I find a map of Paris, I will let you know. And that is the main part of the city. There's other parts that are outside of Paris that I visited as well. 5, M is for Mississippi. What is your favorite story set on the Mississippi? Well, I lived 5 years in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Minneapolis is a city on one side of the Mississippi River, and St. Paul is on the other side. But the only book that I've read that's set in the Mississippi River, and I'm sure a lot of people, including Jim, have said so, and it's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens. And I haven't read it. I heard it's problematic. I remember that it was problematic, but I read it so long ago that only little parts have clung to me, and I just know that it's a book about a boy who has a lot of adventures, and his name was Huckleberry Finn. Okay, 6, M is for Muslim. What is the last book you read with a Muslim protagonist? Well, I haven't read many books about Muslim protagonists, but I did read, well, I have to say I read a lot of quotes by Rumi, and I coincidentally, while listening to Jim's tag, it brought to mind this book. So let me tell you who Rumi is. His name was Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, or Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. He was a 13th century Persian poet, an Islamic dervish, and a Sufi mystic. And he is regarded as one of the greatest spiritual masters and poetical intellects. So he was born in 1207. He belonged to a family of learned theologians, and he made use of everyday life circumstances to describe the spiritual world, as well as romantic life too. And lately they have, not lately, but they have acquired immense popularity. So numerous poems have been translated. So the book that I'm getting soon is called The Essential Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. And I want to read you one quote of Rumi that really touched me. There's so many. The wound is the place where the light enters you. And I love this quote because we're all wounded in some way. I was wounded when I came to Hawaii, to this beautiful place. So, and I realized that whatever wounds that I had, the light was able to enter me. Light meaning truth, light meaning spiritual light, and light meaning the sunny light of Hawaii. So that's my answer to this question, but I do want to read more Muslim authors. All right, let's get back to the questions. 7 is for Mars. What is the last book you read? No. What is your favorite book about Mars? I've never read a book about Mars, so that's an easy question not to answer. Okay, 8. M is for must read. What is a book you feel is a must read? When I first read this question, I thought it was a book that I never read before that was a must read. But I don't know about a lot of people, but the person that I'm thinking of, Sandy, she said, from MS Reads, she said that one book that she has a book that she read before. I can't remember what the name of it was. But the book that I thought that she read before, I have a book that I didn't read, and it's called Know My Name by Chanel Miller. That's one of the 2 books that I'm going to talk about. And it's a book about Chanel Miller, who was raped and left like a piece of garbage, basically, by the side of the road after, a party of some sort. But she became known, I think it was a frat party, but she became known because she wrote an impact statement. I used to work for the Hennepin County Attorney's Office in Minneapolis, and I helped people write impact statements. And her impact statement was so strong that it became famous. And she finally came out of which is very hard to do as a person, as I know personally, as someone who's been traumatized or attacked, to come out into the light. Again, she had a wound and she wrote a book, and hopefully her wound has healed her. The light healed her. And I haven't read this book yet, but I want to. I think she's a very brave woman. And the other book that I haven't read, so that's my answer to that question. Know My Name. And I'll have a cover to show you when I get home. And my lovely boyfriend, who is taping me right now, filming me right now, will put it up. The second book that I haven't read, and I'm very happy to get a wonderful 75th anniversary copy, is Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. And this has French flaps, nothing inside, but all I'll say about it is Jamie saw her life like a great tree in leaf, with the things suffered, things enjoyed, things done and undone. Dawn and doom was in the branches. And let me just read you a few things that it said. My papers are flying away. Many people have lauded this book as the best book. It says one of the most important works of 20th century American literature. Zora Neale Hurston's beloved 1937 classic, Their Eyes Were Watching God, is an enduring Southern love story sparkling with wit, beauty, and heartfelt wisdom, told in the captivating voice of a woman who refuses to live in sorrow, bitterness, fear, or foolish romantic dreams. It's the story of a fair-skinned, fiercely independent Janie Crawford and her evolving selfhood through 3 marriages and a life marked by poverty, trials, and purpose. So it also says on the back that it's the prototypical black novel of affirmation. It is the most successful, convincing, and exemplary novel of black love that we have, period. So I'm looking for, I don't know how I missed this book. So I'm looking very much forward to reading a book that is a must read for me. Number 9. M is for Margaret. What is your favorite book by Margaret Atwood? I don't like Margaret Atwood. I tried reading one of her books and I was unsuccessful. And I'm trying to think of, it wasn't her most last novel, The Testaments. Oh God, I forgot the first one. Oh, and it wasn't The Handmaid's Tale. Handmaiden's Tale. It was another book, but her style of writing was not for me. So that's a quick answer to that question. But another Margaret, number 10, M is for Margaret Pinard. Have you read any of Margaret Pinard's books? I want to read her book, The Keening, and I'm waiting for an autographed copy, Margaret. Send me your information, PayPal, etc., and I will read. She writes historical mystery. And one thing about Margaret, besides being a lovely person, very smart, she also started BookTube the same time that I did. So that's how I began to know her. And I suggest that all booktubers who are starting out get to know people that are starting out at the same time that you're starting out. And I'm going to do a Zoom chat with her on the 22nd. So please look out for that. I also wanted to mention about mysteries of a wonderful channel that I watch, and her name is Janelle from Too Fond of Books. And I've got many books from her suggestions, and that were mysteries and also non-mysteries. She reads a variety of books, but mostly mysteries. So please check out her channel. She's a wonderful person and a wonderful booktuber. So I hope you enjoy the scenery of what happens at sunset on Makaha Beach. By the way, we have the loveliest sunsets on the island of Oahu. And by the way, it's not Oahu, it's Oahu. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope that Jackson will take some more photos after I leave of how beautiful the sunset is. So until we meet again, my friends, thank you, Jim, for a wonderful tag. He's going through the alphabet, and I will continue enjoying myself right now on Makaha Beach. So until we meet again, and please subscribe to my channel. This is my first year of BookTube and my first vlog, and I'm so excited because I'm doing so many events this month. So until we meet again, my friends, enjoy. Aloha. I wanted to show you what you see when you turn your back from the ocean. It's the Waianae mountain range. Isn't it beautiful? Because I live so far, it's called the end of the road, where the mountains and the ocean are so close together. I'm so lucky, and the sun is setting right now, and the colors are just beautiful. We have the building that's hiding the sun, actually, but next time I will show you how gorgeous and how many beautiful colors we see when the sun sets every night in beautiful Hawaii. Aloha. Bye. Hang loose. Shaka.